What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about what is bigger, the Super Bowl or the World Cup. And since today is the Super Bowl, I thought it would be the perfect day to learn about this. Here in America, the Super Bowl, it certainly feels like the biggest, grandest thing ever. It might as well be a national holiday here in America, but to be fair, something we don't really ever pay attention to here is the World Cup. So I really don't have any sense of scale for how big and important the World Cup really is. So today, I want to take a look at this video by Tifo Football, which is going to explain which is bigger, the World Cup or the Super Bowl. So let's take a look.
The Super Bowl can feel like the centre of the sporting universe. Between the weeks-long build-up, the flashbulbs which light up the stadium while the opening kickoff hangs in the air, and the world-famous recording artist who plays to an audience of millions at half-time, the event has an aura of unquantifiable size.
Yeah, I'm actually curious how, Europeans really feel about this. Do you guys care about the Super Bowl, the American football championship? It's funny because the winners will be called the world champions, even though it's just a league that exists here only in the United States. I've always thought that's kind of funny. Not American champions, but the world champions. It'd be kind of interesting to invite the world to have like a American football style tournament series. Anyway, but no, I think you guys are quite happy with your football and your World Cup. But yeah, like I was saying before, Americans don't really think about soccer, European football, and the World Cup. Most of us don't follow it, don't know what's going on, don't really know how it works. So I'm wondering if Europeans ever follow or care about American football, the Super Bowl.
But just how does it compare with the World Cup?
Indeed.
Well, in America, it's enormous.
Yes.
Super Bowl 56, which saw the Los Angeles Rams defeat the Cincinnati Bengals, was relatively unremarkable in viewership terms. And yet, across the various broadcasting platforms, the game totaled a viewership in excess of 112 million. That represented a rise on the previous year, but it was still significantly short of the 172 million viewers attracted by Super Bowl 51, in which the New England Patriots enacted a stunning comeback against the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, so 100 to 200 million people watching. So, I'm thinking about it, and it's like, most of those are going to be Americans. Unless there's some people around the world who care about this NFL football, which means a absolutely massive portion of the American population watches the Super Bowl, and I can confirm that is true. Personally, I don't watch that much American football. I don't really watch the regular season. I don't really follow any teams, and yet even someone like me, an American like me who isn't really passionate for football, American football, I will still go to a Super Bowl party and watch the Super Bowl and pick a side and have a good time. It's just the American thing to do. You just do it. It doesn't matter if you're a fan or not. So most Americans are watching this thing, but that's compared to who's watching the World Cup is the question. Well, the world, especially if your team is doing well in the World Cup. You know, by definition, it's the world in this tournament. So that's got to be a substantially bigger audience, right?
But 2022 still described the event's penetration. According to Nielsen data published by NFL.com, 90% of all people using a television in the United States during the event on February the 13th, 2022, were watching Super Bowl 56.
Yes.
So
I believe that. Like, it's all you hear about today. It's all anyone's talking about. Everyone is planning on going. It's more of a social event than anything, than a sporting contest, than watching sports. And another thing with the Super Bowl, I don't know if you guys know about this, but one of the big attractions is the halftime show, the entertainment, and also during the Super Bowl, all of the commercials, the adverts, they're all very special. They are like little short films, or they are the commercials during the Super Bowl are legendary because they are so expensive for companies to purchase a spot to play their advert or their commercial during the Super Bowl time. So they are millions and millions of dollars spent on this marketing, and the commercials are so like weird and funny and expensive, and a lot of people watch just for that, actually.
So while it has its ups and downs, the Super Bowl dominates its market. By adjusting its estimates to include different sized viewing parties, Nielsen calculated that roughly 208 million people watched the most recent Super Bowl.
Okay.
A figure roughly two-thirds the size of the United States population.
Yes.
But while that describes its local presence and doesn't incorporate the between 30 to 50 million viewers who watched from outside the US...
Oh, there we go. I'm surprised it's that much. Although, it's also funny. That's not that much. If you're talking about the world, 7 or 8 billion people outside of the United States, and only 30 million are watching. That's like a crazy small amount. So the answer to my question is, compared to the rest of the world, no one really cares about the Super Bowl except America. By the sound of it.
Expressing that viewership as a percentage of the global population of 8 billion provides important context.
3%.
It also shows that the World Cup is on an entirely different scale.
Okay.
In 2018, 3.6 billion people watched the tournament. Across the 64 games played in Russia...
What? How are they just going to gloss over... What? How are they just going to gloss over that quickly? 3.6 billion? It's not even close. It's not even close. It's not even close. I'm stuck in a loop. It's not even close. I didn't realize that the discrepancy was that big. This is embarrassing. Oh, this is awkward. America, we got like 200 million people watching. You guys have, God, like almost 20 times that amount. 3.6 billion. That's over a third of the planet, of the Earth. I can't even comprehend this.
Games played in Russia, the average per-match television audience was 194 million. Essentially, on a viewership basis alone, that equates to 64 Super Bowls within a month. According to FIFA's estimates, the total audience across all games and ceremonies in 2022 is expected to rise significantly and exceed 5 billion.
What?
That would be greater than the 3.6 billion who watched the 2012 Olympic Games in London. Or the
World Cup is bigger than the Olympics? Jeez. It's so crazy because here in America, people don't watch the World Cup. Some people do, but most people don't. Unless, I mean, if the United States did really well in the World Cup, we would watch it. Maybe that's what it is. We're just resigned to defeat and shame. But yeah, we don't follow it. And the rest of the year, the years in between, we don't follow football, but the world does. 3.6 billion, 5 billion total. Wow.
3.2 who tuned in to watch the Rio Games 4 years later.
Wow.
But the final itself has a staggeringly high audience. and
Okay.
as a single one-off game is really the only direct comparison with the Super Bowl.
Okay, so this is the World Cup final game.
In 2010, 909.6 million people worldwide watched Spain beat the Netherlands.
Okay. So the 3 billion, the 5 billion number is the cumulative views on the World Cup as a series, I think. The actual World Cup final match, which you can compare to the singular Super Bowl, the final match. You have Super Bowl, 200 million, versus the World Cup final, 900 million, almost 5 times more. It's still not even close.
An audience more than 14 times the size of the two countries' collective population.
Wow.
In 2014, that figure rose again, with 1.01 billion viewers tuning in to see Germany defeat Argentina after extra time.
Oh, wow.
And that number grew further in 2018, with 1.1 billion people across the world seeing France defeat Croatia in Russia.
Oh, it's
It's
growing.
an upward trend.
The number is growing every year. Yeah, the Super Bowl, the number seems to fluctuate kind of random based on if we like the teams, I guess, or if the halftime performer is good or not.
Trend which captures the growth of the event, but also the tournament's truly global nature and the final's imperviousness to the identity or size of the countries taking part. In that
Right.
regard, it's a spectacle and an event without comparison.
No kidding.
If you like
No kidding. Wow. Yeah, I didn't realize it was not even close. In hindsight, it all makes sense, doesn't it? Super Bowl, it's an American thing. The World Cup, it's a global thing. It's totally not an American thing, but I think Americans sometimes don't realize, like, just because it's not popular here, that doesn't mean it's not popular. The rest of the world is a much, much, much bigger place. So this is just a fun little video I wanted to check out. Today is the Super Bowl in America. This was kind of relevant, and I thought, well, how big is this little Super Bowl we've got, really? Because it feels like the biggest event ever today. It's not that big compared to the World Cup at all, which is that's funny. Interesting to learn about, actually. So anyway, if you enjoyed this, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on the American Super Bowl, the World Cup, any of these stats or opinions. That'd be really interesting to hear about. And if you're interested in more videos like this, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.